All right, folks, what am I saying? We have 90% of chance to have a $100 price by June. Well, first of all, two things. The number one thing is somebody we already know here is about the stock split coming for GameStop. Now, it's not a big if, even though we know they still need to have approval, which I think the company or the board, the shareholder is going to vote yes, because majority of the shareholders, in GameStop are also aware of being under a short attack. If they don't, I think there is a problem somewhere. That being said, because they are aware of that, a stock split coming with a dividend is definitely a death cross for the short sellers. Why? Because as I explained many times now, a split gives the ability for more people to have the share cheaper and for those already having the shares, they will have more shares, all right? Even though it doesn't really change the amount of money they have invested, but at least if you think about a short squeeze thing, I would rather have 5,000 shares, because when it spikes, 5,500, it's, you see what I mean, right? So things will get definitely very, very dangerous for the short sellers in that case, all right? So by June, we should have the shareholder approval, and once it's approved, then boom. If on top of that, the dividend, which we don't know yet if it's going to be a cash dividend, an NFT dividend, a crypto dividend, we don't know yet. So if it's announced to be a crypto dividend or maybe an NFT dividend, oh man, can you imagine the amount of buying pressure, the amount of hype that's going to be around GameStop, especially if the stock is also split. All right? So that's number one. Number two, whenever you have a dividend, it doesn't matter in which form it comes, whenever you have a dividend, it forces short sellers to give back the shares, because those shares were lended by lenders, and lenders are usually people owning the stocks. Otherwise, the short sellers will not locate the shares to short sell. All right. So they need to give back those shares, because the lenders will recall them, because by recalling, they are awaiting the dividend. All right. So I don't think necessarily that this will happen as soon as the stock split is announced, because the stock market is always in discount mode, meaning I need to prepare for what is coming ahead. So maybe by May, maybe April and May, and definitely early June, we should see some kind of build up, expectations of this build up in the share price. And that's why the short sellers that are smart may start thinking about getting out now that prices are still very low, because by the time it gets higher and higher, those recall and the lending is going to be less and less profitable for the lenders, meaning the cost of covering is going to be way, 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 way up there. So if they don't do this now, it's going to be way expensive and way more dangerous for them later down the road, especially as we get closer and after the dividend is being paid. So that's why I'm saying by June, we should have both GameStop and AMC price really, 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 really started to pump. Either because the short sellers who are smart will start covering, as soon as possible. But remember also that GameStop and AMC trade in tandem. That's why whatever is happening with GameStop will likely also happen in AMC. But let's just imagine for a second that Adam Aron, the CEO of AMC, decides to follow suit with GameStop, because he already kind of did what GameStop is doing with transforming the company, using the amount of cash that they have, which is a war chest. We're talking about more than $1.6 billion to acquire companies that need liquidity, because having the liquidity will get them to be profitable, hence catapulting, doubling, tripling, 5x, 10xing the capital they invested, right? So that's another reason why I say if we do have that happening, which I don't really see that happening for AMC, because first off, the share price doesn't need a split. But if there is a dividend announced, even if it's 0.01, a cent, even if it's a cent of a dollar per share, or even per 10 shares, man, that recall process is going to cause the shorts to rush through the door. And by then, It's going to be amazing, folks. It's going to be amazing.